just to also, chip in, I would dare say that one of the best places to maybe go to jail is in Zambia because of how often they release prisoners. And this is 1,125. Earlier in the year, 949 were released by the same government. I'm going to go back, all right? In August, on May 2022, yes, we had 2,045 released by President Hakainde Hichilema. August 2021, Edgar Lungu released 60. January 27, 2021, Edgar Lungu once again pardoned 246. And so it feels like every couple of months, more people are released. They have a 10,000 capacity correctional center, but they currently have more than 23,000 inmates. And
so maybe that's also a way for them to decongest the prisons.
Yes.
They have said that they'll get more correctional facilities. But yes, of course, he's exercising his right as enshrined in the, Article 97 of the Constitution of Zambia.
Absolutely.
And we look forward to seeing, more importantly, I'm more concerned about how these people are reintegrated back into the society. All right, we move now to Morocco, where a trade union close to the main Moroccan Islamist party on Sunday mobilized several hundred supporters in the capital to protest against the high cost of living. The rally outside Parliament was witnessed by some journalists, came after several protests already this week in Rabat and other Moroccan cities.
This protest was organized by the country's main trade union, the UNTM, which is close to the Justice and Development Party. The protesters were heard chanting, "Prices are rising and the government is asleep," before dispersing peacefully after about 90 minutes. Consumer price inflation was 8.3% year-on-year in September, due in large part to surging food prices, which were up to 14.7%. And so, yes, it's about the same thing. And let me just quickly also share with you, and some of the things that we might also be talking about later on the show with regards Ghana
as well.
And the inflation, over there in Ghana. Sometime last week, there were protests in France because of 6% inflation. Roughly about 6% inflation. The people of France came out, massively to protest. But in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, we're seeing inflation rates as high as 14%, 30%. Nigeria's at 20.77. Ghana
over 50%.
Yeah. So the thing with Ghana, even they haven't, and we're going to be having someone join us later on the show to talk about it. They are not even 100% sure, because there are analysts that put Ghana's inflation rate as high as 50 and even 60%.
52%.
Exactly, but the official inflation rate released by the government is about 37%. So it feels like it's pretty much the same thing that is affecting a lot of countries on the continent, basically, with regards to the economy. People would blame the Russia-Ukraine war. That might be the easiest thing to blame, because of course we're no longer blaming COVID. I mean, 2 years down the line, people the blame at COVID seems to have reduced, but it still really tells that the world economy, Africa is not immune to the challenges that the economy across the world is facing. The UK is has its own challenges. France, like I just mentioned, has its own challenges. But Africa, as a continent, still has its own economic challenges that it is currently facing. And from South Africa to Nigeria to Ghana to Morocco, anywhere.
I mean, Morocco, for instance, cannot blame the Russia-Ukraine war, for example. Can't entirely be that, because the protests have started even before now. In 2020, they had a protest because of fuel hike. They've had several protests based on human rights suppression, protests based on the high cost of living. It's not necessarily, I mean, there's a lot of work that the continent needs to do for itself. We're a self-sufficient continent, but unfortunately, we should be a self-sufficient continent. But what we're presented with is a far cry from what it ought to be.